Hi everyone, Tammy here. Welcome to my channel, and let's do some more dolly customizing together today. In this video, I'm going to put this doll together and give her sleepy eyes. At this point, I have already published a couple of videos showing, first of all, taking her apart. So that was in one video. In a second video, I showed how I decorated her mechanism, her eye mech eyelids, okay? And she already has, she came partially customized to me. Somebody donated, a very sweet person, donated some partially customized dolls to me. So I'm using one of them. She already had these new eye chips in, and I'm going to just keep her eye chips as is. The other ones are fine. And see what else. Oh, she also decorated the back plate. So again, I'm just leaving that as is. But like I said, I decorated her eyelids, and now I'm going to give her sleepy eyes and put her all back together again. So if you see, I already have some beads here. This was her original pull ring with the strand of beads on it and charms. And I'm actually going to try to keep as much of this as possible. I am going to take off this charm and not use it. I think I'm going to put this one on the end, and I'm going to use these beads, and I'm going to use this cording here. That's nothing wrong with it. It's good cording. I'm going to go ahead and reuse it. But for sleepy eyes, you need two cords. One opens the eyes, the other, or actually one closes the eyes, and the other one switches the eye mechanisms to the next set of eye chips. So for the second one, I'm going to use this. It's waxed cording. It's like linen, so it's pretty strong. I've used it and I've been happy with it. And one of the things is it's a little bit thinner, not quite as thick as the traditional cording, and so you're able to get more beads onto it. As far as other beads and charms, I picked out this little fishy charm bead. I'm going to put, I think, on the other end. This is what I'm planning anyway. So I'm thinking this will be on one end, this will be on another end of the cords. And then I have just an assortment of white beads, these little blue ceramic beads, some more blue beads, and some yellow. All right, so basically we've got yellow and blue kind of mixed together here. And we will see how that goes once I get to that point. But right now we're not ready to string beads. I like to have them ready and kind of figured out what I'm going to do with them. But at this point, what I'm going to do is actually take off these from here. And I'm going to attempt to remove this. Typically, it's just knotted on, and I've had fairly good luck with just taking the knot out. I can either use my fingers or a pair of pliers. And you'll notice I have scissors here. I have just some glue. I like to put glue on the knots when I'm done, but that's at the very, very end. And I have some screwdrivers, Phillips head screwdrivers. And these are the little nuts and bolts and the T-bar that I originally took out of the doll when I took her apart. So let us see if I can get, yeah, I'm having success here. It's just coming right off, not a problemo. And you could keep this on if you wanted to, but I like to have charms on the end. So we'll see how it goes. This is part of like the little creative part of it that I really like, especially because I also make jewelry. I was really into it for about 20 years and did lots of actually commercial work with how to make jewelry. If anybody ever saw me on about.com, and I have some books out. So I really like this part of it. It kind of brings in my jewelry making with me. Alrighty, so now I have my two cords ready. This one I cut, it's a little more than a foot long. It's always good to have extra because if you change your minds about something or you goof something up, it's easier to just cut off the ends and, fix it that way once you have tied these inside of the head here. So I always, if you can, make them a little bit longer. So the next part of the process is I'm going to attach these cords to the eye mechanism, or at least one of them, before I put this inside of the faceplate. You can put it in and then put the cords on, but I have found because the first one we have to do is this hole right here. See, there's a hole right there. So it goes through here onto the other side. And if this is inside the faceplate, trying to snake this cording into this hole once it's inside the eye mechanism is not impossible to do, but it's not ideal. Okay, so always put your cords in, especially this one here, before you put the eye mech and you pop it back in. And I will be popping it back right in here. If you saw the other video where I pulled it out, you can see these little notches in here. I have terrible lighting today because we have an overcast day in Florida, but we really need the rain. So I'm trying to do my best with lighting, but these little notches, these little ends here, I'm going to pop them back into those notches. Alrighty, so now I'm ready to attach my first cord. I'm going to use this one. This is the thinner of the two, and I would estimate this to be about 1 millimeter thick. So just so you know. So there's two sides to this section down here. One side is flat, and one side's kind of got like a little bump with a hole in it. And in my first video where I took this doll apart, I suggested that one thing I do sometimes when I'm, in the beginning when I was first doing this, I would take a photograph of the inside of the head before I took the eye mechs out. And that always helped me remember, because this is crucial. You're going to insert one end of your cord through the flat side, through to the bumpy side. There's a little, there's like little finger looking things that come out. All right, so you're gonna stick it through there. Obviously this is important to have cording that fits through that hole. And then you're gonna tie a knot on the end so it doesn't come out. I do a couple overhand knots. And it can be helpful for me to take my pliers and just pull a little bit so it's nice and tight. I'm going to do another one. Again, pull it so it's nice and tight. All right. And you don't want to have a long piece here, because it's going to, once you put everything in there, this can kind of get in the way. So I'm going to trim off just past the knot, trim off that little extra piece with my sharp scissors. And then I'm going to take a little bit of glue and just put a dab of glue. Can you see that? Put a dab of glue on my knot. Just a little bit on the knot. You don't need a bunch. All right. And then I'm going to let that dry for a few minutes before I keep going. All right, so it's still a little tacky, but my glue is drying now, so I'm going to go ahead and put the other string in. You can see when you pull it, now this particular cord, this is how it looks. The other string, the other cord that you need to do is you have to attach it up here. So like I said, the Sleepy Eyes has two cords. This is the first one. I recommend doing it before you put the eyeballs back in. I'm going to go ahead and put the second one in too before I put it back in there. At this point, you could pop it in if you wanted to, but not necessary. I'm going to go ahead and use this end. You can see it's kind of crinkled because I'm reusing it, but it should be okay. And I don't think it matters which side. I've watched a number of videos and read a number of blog posts about this, and it seems to be the consensus is either side here doesn't really matter which side. So I'm just going to put it through there. And again, overhand knot. I'm going to use my pliers here. Especially with this second cord, since I'm reusing it and it's a little bit shorter than the other one, I want to try to get the knot down as close to the end as possible. All right, and basically do the same thing. I'm going to put a little dab of glue on this knot and trim off a little bit of this other cording on the other side of the knot. You don't need all that. Get a little glue out here. This is all-purpose glue. It dries clear. It doesn't really matter though because it's inside of the head. You won't see it. All right. There you go. So I have one cord up here and one cord down here. Make sure you can see that. All right, now, God willing, and the creeks don't rise, as they say, I'm going to pop this, like I said, into the little slots right in here. And this one came out pretty quickly and easily, so hopefully it'll go in the same way. There we go, just popped right in there, yay! All right, it got in there no problemo. Okay, at this point, the eyes aren't going to be able to flip yet still because I have to put in the T-bar. And I mentioned that in my previous video. This is super important that you don't lose the T-bar. You can see the T-bar has a little concave side and a flat side. The concave side fits into this little spot right there. So I'm going to press that on it and pop that right in there, and then I take a screw and I'm going to screw it in. Okay, so I am not trimming this. Some people will trim the end of it right here, just a teensy tiny bit, and if you do that, it'll make the eyes wider. I'm okay with the eyes as is, so I won't be trimming the T-bar. But you just pop it on there, get my Phillips head ready. And I kind of press it in there. You got to, you know, it fits in. Like I said, there's a little concave side, and that's the side you push down there. And now I'm going to put one of the screws that I saved when I took her apart, and I'm just going to screw that in. First, get it going with my fingers. There we go. We got the T-bar in and 2 cords. Let's give it a test drive. All right, it is the moment of truth. Obviously, the next thing I need to do is make sure that the eyes actually switch so that they do before I put her all back together again. All right, so this is the front of her. Here are the cords. This is the one that actually changes the eye mechanism. It actually, when you pull it, it'll turn the eye mix. So let's flip it around here. This is what she's starting with. And then here, oops. Here we go. We're going to close them up and pull it. I hear it clicking. Pull the other cord to open them. There we go. Yay! It worked. All right, let me run through the whole eyes. Again, a click. There we go. A click. There we go. All right, so yay. It is working. Now to put her all back together again and give her some beads for these cords. Now we're ready to put the doll back together again, all of the parts and pieces. Got the body back here. Got our Phillips head screwdriver again. Now we're going to pull out the screws that I set aside when I took her apart. I have her back plate here, have the front plate, and her scalp. So first I'm going to attach the scalp. Just like when I took it off in the previous video, I have to put it back on, and that means lining this up here with this here and adding the screw. And if you watched my previous video, you know that the screw that I took out of there had the washer on it, so it was this one right here. There are lots of different ways to do this. Again, this is how I do it. I first put the screw in to this little hole right here and just screw it in a little teeny bit, not all the way. Just a few turns with my fingers. And now I'm going to line this up with the screw, trying to make sure I don't get the hair caught. No wisps of hair in there. My screwdriver, get in there and righty-tighty. Before I put it all the way in, I'm going to take a quick look. I'm sure I have it lined up here. No hair stuck in there. I'm going to finish tightening it. I think that's working. Oh, there we go. All the way. Again, make sure there's no hair stuck in there before I move on. Especially when you have bangs, that can be an issue. So, yep, base plate is now connected to the scalp. The next part of the process is I have to add the body back and attach the back plate. And there are two holes in the back plate. We have this big square one and this littler round one. This one up here is a hole, but that is for the screw. That one, and that one is where you're going to put the screws back. Because this turquoise colored cord is the thinnest, I'm going to put it through this little hole. And then this one I'm going to stick through the square hole. Again, make sure the hair's out of the way as much as possible. And you can see, like, there's these little things here that you're going to line up with these holes right here. And before I close it all the way up, however, I'm going to line it up first. But I'm not going to close it up yet because I got to get my body in there. And that, in fact, before I do that too much further, the body just lays into this area right here. You can see there's a little curved spot. That's where the neck goes. Line everything up and snap the head closed. Oh, there's a little bit of hair there. I want to get that out. All right. Ooh, got the little bit on the other side there. Okay. Still got to hear one more snap here. This side's snapped close. This one is still open a little. I'm just going to mess with it. There we go. Alright, so got the scalp on. We've got the cords out. Now I can attach the back plate. I mean, it's on there really well, but the next step is I have to add the screws. One here, and one here. Again, I just used the screws I had before. Pop them in there. Use my screwdriver and add them in. Oop. And the last screw, then all I have left is this little spring, which I keep for I don't know why reasons, but we don't put it back in there. There's no reason to add the spring back. Alright, she's all put back together again. Yay! And just before I move on, I'm just going to make sure that the pull cords are still working all right. Oops, a little fuzz there. What is that? A little bit of fuzzies. There we go. All right, so next I have to do is add some beads and some charms to the pull cords, and she'll be ready. I'll be right back to show you the finished doll. All right, she's all done, and I put a little outfit on her. She's ready for the beach. She's sleeping right now. But anyway, so here are her beaded pull strings. One little thing I should remind everybody, when you do give them beads on their pull strings, make sure that you leave a good inch or so, a good couple of inches, because you can see when I pull the strings, they go up, they move up. So, and I tend not to make my pull cords super duper long. Like sometimes I've seen dolls that have like cords that go down to the ground, when, you know, all the way down to their feet. And for me, I think that can kind of get in the way a little bit. But anyway, I put some turquoise and yellow glass beads on this one with the fish on the end. I reused the pretty flower pendant on the other string and reused the beads and just added the little turquoise E-beads. I think she turned out super cute, and I think my sister will like her, and we'll have a good time at the beach with her. Yeah, let's go to the beach! So, thanks so much for stopping by. As usual, I always appreciate a thumbs up. Please make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications. And have a wonderful Dolly Day. Let me know if you have any questions or suggestions in the comments below. Bye-bye.